Today you will learn how to do absolute reference. Now, what you see is going to be a little similar to what you've done previously, but I need you to remember you're learning a new function. And because you're learning a new function, you have to use the function that I teach you for this. Now, to begin with, we're taking a look at payroll. So Dan and Angie are working somewhere. They have how much they make per hour, and this is how many hours they have worked. So what we're going to do here in the beginning is we need to multiply rate and hours together in order to find out how much money will they make before taxes are taken out. Because anytime you work, you will have taxes taken out. So therefore, to find what the gross pay is, we're going to use the equal sign. We're going to click on B5. Use the multiplication key, which is the star key to multiply. Click on C5. So currently we have B5 times C5. Enter. You should have 537.25. Again, if you don't come up with this number, double check to make sure you are on sheet 1. Come back up to the answer you have just gotten. Click on it. Go to the bottom right hand corner. Click and drag down one place. Do not drag down 2 places, because notice you will have to do totals later. So we need this clear so we can do totals. Next, we're going to talk about federal tax. Now, in order to figure out federal tax, you are going to multiply the gross pay times whatever percentage there is. So make sure you have clicked in E5. You're going to start with the equal sign. Click on D5, which is the gross pay. Use your multiplication sign. Click on cell E3, which is where that 8% is. And you know what federal tax we're using because it is right above the word. Now we're going to enter. Click back on your answer. Go to the bottom right hand corner and drag down. Now notice there's a problem. The reason why there's a problem is if you double click in cell E6, look at what it's trying to do. It's trying to multiply D6, which is correct, but it's trying to multiply it with E4, which is a word. You can't multiply numbers and words together. It's not going to work. So what we need to do is I'm going to push the escape key on my keyboard to stop what we just had. I'm going to click back into E5. I'm going to begin again, but this time we're going to use absolute reference. And what absolute reference does is it will freeze that percentage, that 8% up here. It's going to freeze that for us. So here's how we begin. We're still going to do the equal sign. You're still going to click on the gross pay, which is D5, and you're still going to use the multiplication sign. Now here's where it's different, and here's where you have to follow along. You have to use a dollar sign. The dollar sign tells Excel we're going to freeze something. Now first what we're going to do is we are going to freeze the column. So the column, notice we are in the E column. So we're going to put the letter E. Okay, so right now we're telling Excel, okay, so far we're going to freeze column E. But we need to give it a cell location. So again, we're going to use the dollar sign. And notice that 8%, or whatever percent we're using, what row is that 8% in? It's in row 3. So you're going to key in the number 3. Now there's something else I want you to notice. You'll have a colored line around D5, and you'll have a colored line around E3. This is to let you know you have the correct cells multiplied together. So you need to remember that the dollar sign here is freezing 8%. Okay, go ahead and enter. Click back on your answer. Go to the bottom right-hand corner, drag down, and now it did it correctly. Why? Let's take a look. Double click on it. Has gross pay times that frozen cell of E3, which is at 8%. Okay, I'm going to push my escape key. I'm going to go over to cell F5. Now we're going to figure out sales tax. Now, anytime you do federal tax or sales tax, you always have to multiply it with the gross pay. So we're going to begin with the equal sign. We're going to click on the gross pay amount. We're going to use our multiplication sign. Just remember, you need to freeze that 5%. You use a dollar sign. Check what column you're in. We are in column F. So we're going to put F. We need to freeze again because this time we are freezing the row. What row is 5% in? It's in row 3. So you're going to put 3. Notice again the colored lines around the correct area. Enter. Click back on your answer. Drag down. No problem. Okay, now we're to net pay. Like I said in the beginning, taxes are always taken out of your check. So if something's taken out, you're subtracting. So what we need to do is do equal sign, start with your gross pay, minus federal tax, minus state tax. Enter. Again, click on your answer, drag down. Now I want you to notice something else. When you get paid, it's not going to look like this. It's not going to say $467.4075. No, we're not going to do that. So we need to go up to this numbers area, and we need to decrease decimal. And yes, it will round up. It's all right. But we need to make it look correct. We're not going to leave all those decimal places on there. Last thing we need to do, go to D7. Use your auto sum because we are adding numbers together to get the total. Enter. Go back to your answer, and you can drag over. And also notice you have those decimal places. I'm going to decrease. Oops. Just make sure you decrease to where you have 2 decimal places after the period. Okay. So now we're going to go down to sheet 2. So go down the bottom left, click on sheet 2. Same deal, but you have John and Ron. Okay, gross pay, you're doing rate times hours. Equal sign, rate times hours. Enter. Click here. Okay, here we go. We're going to do our federal tax now. Equal sign, gross pay, times, now remember, we have to freeze it. Dollar sign. Okay, the 8% is in is in column E. Oops, I have a mistake there. Sorry about that. Should be dollar sign E. So make sure that's correct on yours. It's D5 times dollar sign E, dollar sign. What row is the 8% in? 3. Good. Notice the colored lines. Enter. Click back on your answer. Drag down 1. Now we're to state tax. Again, we're using that gross pay with the state tax. Equal sign. Gross pay times. We're freezing now. Dollar sign. This time we are in column F. Freeze again because that 5% is in row 3. Notice the colors. Very nice. Enter. Click back on your answer. Okay, now we're to net pay. how much will they be paid after taxes are taken out? Start with the equal sign, begin with gross pay, minus federal tax, minus state tax. Enter, got your answer, pull it down. Again, let's get rid of the extra decimal place. I'm going to click over to D7. I'm going to do an auto sum to get my sum. I'm going to enter, click on my answer, fill it in, and you can just click on the zeros up here to get it to where it looks right. Okay, now sheet 3. I'm going to go much faster. I'm not really going to walk you through it. You can pause this, do everything, and then see if you get the same answer I do. Okay, so you have rate times hours, federal tax, gross pay times freezing column E, freezing row 3, state tax, equal sign gross pay times freezing column F, freezing row 3, and equal sign starting with gross pay minus federal minus state. And yes, you can do it this way, where I did the first row, highlight over, and drag it down so you don't have to do one by one. That's up to you. And then I'm going to fix this so it looks right. Again, let's get our totals done, sum those. And I'm just going to make it look right. And that's just, all I'm doing is increasing or decreasing decimal until there's those 2 decimal places. That's all. Okay, so if you got the same answer as I did, great.